Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming out to Phoenix. I hope you're enjoying yourself. We timed the weather just to be absolutely perfect. So this mid to high 80s is just great. By the way, if you haven't noticed already, during the day it's nice and sunny and it's nice and warm, and as soon as the sun falls below the skyline, it gets pretty chilly here. So you might want to bring a coat with you. I hope they have the fire pits going out there, and that'll help keep us warm out there. But it's just, I really love this facility. It's really working out well. Well, anyway, as Robert said, I'm responsible for the AMSAT Youth Initiative. And why do we have a youth initiative? Well, look around the room and see how many young people we have in the room here. Not that many. So the reason we have the youth initiative is the right thing to do. Okay, we need to replenish the ranks as time goes on here. And I want to point out just a couple key things about the youth initiative. I think the most important thing is it's a community-based program. Why is that? Well, the gold standard, of course, is when we can get amateur radio involved in the school systems. But if anybody has ever tried to work their way an amateur radio program into a school, not all the schools are excited about doing that. Okay, sometimes some of the school boards are pretty rigid in terms of managing the curriculum and that. We have some great teachers out there. We have some great examples. There's just not enough of them. Okay, so we don't want to let the schools stand in our way of success. So as a community-based program, these are standalone materials that any parent can use, any scoutmaster, future farmer association, all that kind of stuff. This is available for everybody, and it's designed to be used by everybody out in the public. Okay, these are all open access materials that we offer for free. Okay, a lot of the materials I should say most of the materials are harvested from federal government sources or different colleges who make the materials available for use on a non-commercial basis, and that would certainly be us. Okay, so we take these materials in whatever raw form they're available, and we format them in a certain way, and you're going to see what we do with them. We are going to promote the heck out of these. Okay, we're not talking about a dozen kids here or a dozen kids there. We're looking for participation with a lot of significant digits. Okay, and who's using this? And what we have. Where's David? There's David in the back of the room there. David Vine, our Director of Public Relations. The reason God invented him is for David to push these educational materials out to the homeschooling organizations and even the schools. Okay, you know, if I said, you know, it's a community-based program, but if a teacher wants to use them, God bless them. The materials are there for them to use. Okay. Something else that we're very excited about is these materials are designed for global distribution. These are not designed just for use within the United States. We use a software system that converts the content into the online materials. Back in about April or February, something like that, a gentleman, a retired high school science teacher, Eric Sonnenfeld, in New Jersey, made the mistake of emailing in and said, I'm not an engineer, but I'd like to volunteer and do something for AMSAT. I said, Eric, have I got a deal for you? Okay. So what Eric does is he harvests the materials, he formats them roughly, okay, into the format that we need, and then using this the software system that we purchased, I'm the one so far who has been converting these to the online materials. Now we have a grant request into the RDC for a couple more licenses, so I'm not the bottleneck anymore. We can get a couple more people involved, and also to upgrade our license. We have kind of a basic license which allows us to do some amazing things, but with an upgraded license that uses some AI facilities, it will take all of the content that we developed in print and add audio to it. It'll actually read the material, and I'll show you an example of how that works, okay? And last thing I want to mention about the Youth Initiative is it's the foundation for our development efforts in the future, okay? Because if I go out there as the VP of Development, which is the politically correct term for money raker, okay? And I say, okay, I want some money to build a satellite so Mark Hammond there can work on his Gridmaster Award. The line of people wanting to donate money for that is pretty short, okay? But if you have a mission that is worthwhile, that benefits the community, educational mission is the low-hanging fruit, okay? And there's plenty of money out there if you show the potential grant maker that you've got a worthwhile program that's going to benefit a large body of people. Okay, so we've got our youth initiative is really delineated along two different lines. For the younger kids, no, I'm sorry, for the teenagers, we call it BuzzSat, and this is a registered trademark that we have, and we also own the domain names for BuzzSat. And if you ever tried to find a domain name, okay, that has sat in it or satellite, good luck, because the domain name squatters have gotten just about everything wrapped up. But we were lucky to find BuzzSat as a name that we could register the trademark, and the trade name was available. So, and I have to thank Robert. Robert, where are you hanging? There he is, back in the corner. My original proposal for the name was KidSat. Okay, another cool name, which we could register the trademark and had the domain name. But Robert very astutely said, you know what? Teenagers don't like to be called kids, okay? So it was back to Google and back to all the other domain name search facilities, and that's where we came up with BuzzSat. So Robert, thank you for catching that error early on in the game. Okay, so in BuzzSat, there actually is a live BuzzSat website right now, buzzsat.com. And if you go look at it, you're going to say, oh, you know, this content is really kind of hokey. And I will be the first one to admit it is, okay? But what we needed to do was get a website live with the BuzzSat name, so when the trademark inspector went around to see if this was actually a legitimate name that was being used in commerce, that's why we got the BuzzSat name out there. Now, what we have added, though, I'm very proud to say that Hamvention, if anybody was there, we launched the first iteration of our first online course in satellite technology. We've got about 14 different courses that are in production, and I'll show you a little bit about that. But the first one is Introduction to Satellite Meteorology. Well, what does this have to do with amateur radio? Well, if you walk into a room full of kids and say, hey, anybody here interested in amateur radio? They don't know what amateur radio is. You know, they didn't know their smartphones are radios. So instead, what we have to do is throw the net out there to try to cast a wider group of people and in areas where they already have an interest. Okay, so we're going after hooking them in the interest that they already have, and then we kind of sneak the amateur radio in there as we go along the way. Okay, now I'm going to show you. I don't dare do a live demo. Okay, you know how that works, right? So I'm just going to show you a couple screens here. These are serious courses. Okay, there's about, and this one's even the next to last iteration. There's over 300 pages in each of these courses, so there's a serious amount of effort that it takes to go through each of these. Now, this is what's, I think, really unique about our courses. Most online courses are just electronic page turning things, okay? And what we did not want to have happen is the kids half asleep doing next. So on each, having to read a long paragraph, fall asleep. Okay, we just have 2 or 3 sentences on each frame, okay? And then they have to answer a question. And they're not tough questions. Some of them are even silly questions. We don't care. We just want to make sure that they're paying attention before they go ahead. So some of the questions are true and false questions. They answer correctly and they can move on to the next frame. Some of the questions are multiple choice, okay? And if they answer incorrectly, they get another try. They can take 12 tries if they want to answer a four question, multiple choice question. We're not tracking these questions. That we can later on, okay, but we just didn't want to try to take 4 years to make it perfect. We just wanted to get something going right away. And I think we ended up with a pretty good product anyway. Okay, so after they have 8 or 9 tries and they finally get the question correct, they move on to the next one. The other type of question is they have to identify something in a picture. Okay, so it's just simply click on the solar panels on the now obsolete and decommissioned. We have a little updating to do since this slide was made. Okay, show us what a solar panel looks like. Okay, so that's kind of the way it works. Any questions so far? Okay, I got a lot of time for questions. This is not death by PowerPoint. Okay, so here's a list of the courses that we're developing. We actually have the first 4 completed. Introduction to Satellite Meteorology, Satellites and Climate Change, Pollution Control, Satellites Protecting Wildlife and Natural Resources, and we have content subject matter experts for about a third more, and we're looking for more, okay? So if anybody out there at home is a competent expert in any one of these areas, we'd sure appreciate your help. So our intention is we will have the first 4 courses on by the end of this year, and then by the end of 2026, we'll have 14 courses done. Okay. Now, if anybody thinks, hey, you know what, you should have a course on this, that, or the other, we'd love to hear from you. Okay, we can grow this list forever and ever. And you notice down here, whoops, wrong button. Okay, and they don't have to take these courses in any particular order. Okay, so if we catch their interest and they're interested in satellite telemetry and management, well, we're putting together a course on Fox to LEM. Okay, and amateur satellites. So, and actually what that means is a ground station. Okay, how to put together a ground station. One of the things that I don't have on the slide here because it's not ready yet, but we are actually supersizing one of Alan's CubeSat simulators that he'll be talking about tomorrow, and we're going to stream this data live, okay, because there's only, 200 CubeSat sims out there, Alan? Okay, but we want 10,000 kids to experience using it, okay? So we're going to stream the output from a CubeSat simulator, which is orbiting my laundry room at home, okay? So we've had to arrange the lighting and everything so it looks like it's actually in orbit. But, they'll be able to download the telemetry with Fox to LEM, and the courseware teaches them what the telemetry means and how they can use what they can do to analyze it. Okay, so I threw this picture in there. I'm so proud of this picture. Like I said, we introduced the Introduction to Satellite Meteorology at Hamvention this past year, and this was about noon on Sunday. Hamvention was just closing up. Everybody's going home. We want to pack up. We want to go home. We've been standing around and yammering for a couple days here. And this family walks into the AMSAT booth there, and the father, who is the obvious ham in the family, walks over and talks to some other AMSAT people. And this little girl just no encouragement from her parents or anything, just walks over and sits down at the computer, okay, and starts working the problem. And the mother came over. She was on like 20 minutes, and you can see the look on her face. She's not a little kid just looking for, some visual stimulation. She's working the problems, and we worked so hard to get this ready for Hamvention, but when I saw that happen, it just made all the work worthwhile. And I just kind of I sent this to Erica, our developer back in New Jersey. It got our batteries, recharged, and said, yeah, I think we're onto something good. So that was warmed the cockles of my heart, as they say. Any questions on the BuzzSat program? Okay, now we come back to the kids SAT program. And this is for preteens. And to be honest with you, originally my vision of the youth initiative was for teenagers. And talking with Frank Bauer, he says, no, you gotta get them by the time they're in 5th grade, or you've lost them. Okay. So came up with, said, okay, I'm glad we got the KidSat name. We're gonna do something with it. But my head was just scratching. I couldn't figure out what to do. But then, what could be more fun than a coloring book? Okay. So if you noticed, if you kind of remember what the list of topics were for the BuzzSat program, well, the KidSat program mimics it, follows it pretty closely. A little bit different tone on some of the subject matter, but the whole theory of the program is satellites in space help us live a better life on Earth. Okay, so the message that we're telling the kids is, okay, no matter what career you're interested in, whether it's you're interested in a career in the military or any branch of science or communications, think of something in our modern life where satellites don't play some role, right? Okay, so the message to the kids is, if you plan to exceed in any one of these areas, you should know a little bit about the role that satellites play in our lives. So, again, here's a list. Now, what this is, you're going to see, is there's 14 spreads. There's 14 two-page spreads. And I'm going to just jump to one right now. Okay, so we've got the cover completed, and we're working with an artist, Brad Peterson, who's in Tucson, very accomplished animator for in a movie production in Hollywood, and that super great artist. You can see the he's really a great cartoonist. I really happy with the way this came out. Okay, so what we're doing now is developing the sketches for each of these 14 pages. So the message, each of these is kind of an if-then proposition. So for the satellite meteorology, it's satellites in space help us predict the weather so we can play safely outside. Okay. Another one is satellites in space help the farmers grow food so we have plenty of healthy food on the dinner table. People get, one of the topics was search and rescue, right? Okay, so there's a little story about what happens when planes crash or people get lost, how search and rescue functions on satellites help find the people and coordinate the rescue. So it's just little homilies like that that kids can understand. Okay, we're not concerned about was it P104 connectors or whatever you guys were talking about. You guys have to understand, my dream in high school was I was going to become an electrical engineer. I was going to marry Mary Lou, who lived 2 doors down, okay, and have a cabin cruiser. I lived in Chicago on Lake Michigan. And my first calculus course ended my engineering career. It just cut me off at the knees right there. So I had to find something to do, so I ended up in advertising and marketing. So does this make sense? Just kind of appealing to the kids in a broader sense. And even in the coloring book here, we'll jump back here to the list of different topics, and we think it'll be fun. We have a grant request into ARDC for this, but I couldn't stand to wait, okay, for them to make up their mind. We just said, we're going to publish this thing for one way or the other. But in a conversation with some of the people at Hamvention, they said, oh God, this is great. Now we want to make Hamvention more of a family-oriented affair to give some reason for kids to come. So this person said, we might just print up a couple hundred or 1,000 of these and just hand these out to the kids when they show up at Hamvention. I think the other thing that we want to do with these is find corporate sponsors from the radio manufacturers or other companies in aerospace to fund the printing of these things and distribute them wherever we can. But the coloring book itself initially will be available online. Okay, so mom and dad can download the whole 28 pages of coloring, or they can just download one spread at a time. And at the back of the book, okay, there's an information page, okay, on each of those 14 different topics in the book. So if they want to sit down with their child, and it'll have a list of resources in there. So if they want to kind of continue the conversation or the dialogue with their kid and suggest some other activities they can do in any one of these areas, this little leader guide, I'll call it, there's one of those for each of the spreads in the book. Okay, so that's kind of what that looks like. Oh, I want to jump back here. We believe in DEI. Okay, when I said this, we were showing kids of different cultural heritages. There's a couple reasons for this, but we believe in it, and this is going to be globally available. So working with the other AMSAT organizations throughout the world will make this available to them. Because these upgraded licenses that we're requesting from ARDC includes a facility in them to convert these into 71 different languages. Okay, so we can produce these coloring books in virtually every language on the face of the earth. Okay, so that's why we wanted kids to look like kids all over the world. Okay, so and again, aside from this being the right thing to do, because we need more kids in STEM topics and in amateur radio, this is how we raise our money. Okay, like I said, it's not for Mark to get his Gridmaster Award. It's to help encourage kids to take careers in science, technology, education, math, and art. Okay. So that's it. Any questions? Comments? Guess who's next, Mr. White?